That's live. Hello everyone, welcome to the Banburyshire Job Market's Breakfast Club. This is the second time we've gone live, and today we have Tristan Findlay from MMR Worldwide. Hopefully you'll recognise me. I'm Andy from Mayday. Really pleased with the early engagement and early involvement that's going on Banburyshire Job Market. We've been really pleased to see people posting and sharing jobs, etc., particularly from other agencies in Banbury. And this is important because the job market's here to get those that need it in Banbury and the surrounding area back into work, and agencies play a big part in doing that. And working together, all the agencies together, obviously puts a much stronger proposition together. And if we're serious about building a community, then agencies do need to work together on this. So thank you very much for all the agencies, Champion, Extra, and all the others that have posted onto the job market so far. So we are looking at getting the community, those that need work, need to get back into work in the community, looking at 2021 with some fresh hope. So I won't go on anymore. Tristan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Morning, everyone. My name's Tristan. I work for a company called MMR Research Worldwide. My title is Chief Growth Officer. Sounds like quite an unusual title. I remember when I first told some of my friends, they kind of laughed a little bit, but it's actually become quite a common role in organisations now. So someone who comes in just focused on growth, so typically leading sort of the commercial team and often the marketing team as well. In terms of MMR, the company I actually work for, it's a research company. So the way I always describe it is, like, if you take Pepsi as an example, Pepsi don't just come up with a product and launch it, right?
Not a bad brand.
Not a bad brand, no. We work with some very good brands, we're lucky. If you take someone like Pepsi, they don't just come up with something and launch it, right? They have to test it. They have to test the product, the idea, the price, what impact it has on other products within their portfolio, and that's effectively where we come in and help them. So we'll help them with innovation and with product development.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, very fortunate to have known Tris since we were 11 years old, which I'm not going to let you in how long ago that was, but obviously I do hear about Tristan's work and some of the awesome clients that he works with, some of the awesome places he goes, etc. But when he first started to tell me what he actually does, it does take a little bit of explaining. I suppose, simply put, like you just said, actually, people don't just launch something, and it takes a lot of research, etc.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when Tristan agreed to come on the Breakfast Club, so it's not that early in the morning, you're normally up earlier than this. It was really excited because it represented for me somebody that was born in Banbury and has been very successful. So he's not only worked in some great places, been to some great places, very driven in what he does, achieved a great deal, and has moved back to Banbury feeling that, yeah, that's the place you want to be, and actually working in a global leader in MMR that have their headquarters here in Oxfordshire. So just that there are great jobs great places to work in and around Banbury. Not to mention, actually, we're in commutable distance to places, but So living and working in and around Banbury. One of the reasons why Tristan's here is just to explain, actually, that Banbury is a great place to live. Banbury and the surrounding area is a great place to live. There are great places to work. We obviously have a big industrial base given the location in the UK, but there are so many other market research, MMR in Oxfordshire.
And Oxfordshire generally actually is quite a hub for that, even in Oxford. So my original company, Nielsen, which are a massive Oxford company,
course, yeah,
here as well. So actually it is it is quite a big area for our industry.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So being in recruitment, I should know all these different markets, but in fact, it's good to hear. And sometimes key to starting a job search, I suppose, is having a clear idea what you want to do and ideally where you'd like to work. So knowing that there's some leading brands in certain industries within Banbury, surrounding area, Oxfordshire is good to know. I don't want to fly the flag for Banbury too much, but I'm going to have to do it a little bit. But it's so we're within 45 minutes from Birmingham, an hour from London. The industry continues to come into Banbury. There are new businesses coming in. Every year we see big, significant businesses moving in. As far as housing, there's a great deal of expansion going on. We're seeing Castle Quay 2 nearing completion, which is going to have new cinema, some great places to eat. It's going to be eye-catching. Really, really pleased with how that's coming along. And we are located just down the road from Bicester, which Bicester is the one of the fastest growing towns in Europe. So just purely by location being its neighbour, we should actually get some
knock-on effects.
For that. So I won't keep going on about Banbury because a lot of you live in and around Banbury, so you know all this, I'm telling you. I wanted to say, so some of the places that Tris has lived and worked in and around. Do you want to tell us a few? They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess I've also been lucky with travel, both from a work and personal perspective, but also from getting to live in different countries, really. So from India through to Brussels, Switzerland and Geneva for a couple of years.
We know.
South Wales, Cardiff.
Yeah.
Love the Welsh, love Wales. London more recently, and then obviously now back in Banbury.
Well, obviously I've known Tris for a while. I was very fortunate to go and see him in Geneva and also Cardiff. It's, for me, I haven't lived many places. I haven't ventured very far. A bit of a home bird, but to go and see Tris in places like, for example, Geneva, and lovely city, awesome. I can see why you enjoyed living there so much. But it was a little bit of a culture shock for me when we went out for a spot of lunch, and it was a light bite. It wasn't anything, and then got the bill. And I can't remember exactly how much it was, but I did have to push my jaw back up. So it's different places have different challenges, and surely the cost of living in Geneva was a big one.
Yeah, like even for context, I think I don't know what the I don't know. Let's say in Banbury you might go for a Chinese or an Indian takeaway, and I don't know, £10 for a main is probably about average, right? In Geneva, you'd go somewhere that would be, if anything, maybe not even as good a quality as some of the lovely restaurants in Banbury.
I didn't want to knock it because I enjoyed the lunch.
Some of the places are good, but that would be 40 quid. So I guess, the point is, like, you've got to often, when you're looking at where you want to go in your career, you have to make compromises, right? And for me, it was a move I took with the company I was working for at the time with Nielsen, and it was an opportunity to move to a new country to help establish a new office, which appealed to me. Yeah. But I also had to weigh up the negatives as well. And part of that, well, not negative, but it was massive preparation to make sure that with the wage I'd get over there, that I could still live comfortably. So it was that balance between, okay, I know this is good for my career, I know it's going to be good in that sense, but can I also make it work financially? Because almost like, what's the point in making it work for my career if I'm going to be absolutely miserable for 2 years because I can't afford to go to an Indian restaurant? Yeah,
so that's a tough decision. So something that people have to make in careers. Should I stay or should I go now? It's something that sometimes it feels like a leap of faith, because if you've been working somewhere for a year, 2 years, you know the job, you're very comfortable in your surroundings, and then an opportunity might arise and you mull it over for days, weeks, however long. But I suppose that could be part of your success, really, is that you've you've bet on yourself to, because it's always going into something new. You're always going to have those seeds of doubt that, can I do this? Have I got all the skills, etc., necessary? But I suppose the evidence here is, and cheesy as it might be, but believe in yourself, back yourself. You'll regret an opportunity missed more than something you failed at.
Yeah, and just to build on that as well, I think like we often as individuals think that what we're going through no one else has ever been through, and that's highly unlikely given the amount of people that live on this planet. So I guess you have to like leverage a person, a mentor, a coach, and that doesn't need to be a professional mentor, like a friend, a colleague. Like there'll be so many people that if you just bounce it, rather than just let it all go through your head, have a conversation, say, right, I'm debating about doing this. Yeah. Should I do it? What do you think? Weigh up the pros and the cons. Yeah. And I think discussing it with someone can be a massive kind of support and help as well.
Well, you are very lucky to have some of the best friends going, so not that I can give any advice on that kind of thing. So it's something that Tristan's done continuously. I should imagine he's pushed himself onto the next level, onto the next stage. Just while we're mentioning about the places you lived, and Cardiff, one of my favourite cities, and I love the countryside. I'm a big fan of just quiet, open spaces. I love Banbury town and everything that goes on in it. Well, not everything. Most things that go on in it, I think it's got a lot going for it. But actually, you only have to drive 2 or 3 miles down the road before you're in open green fields. That was the same as Cardiff, maybe Cardiff onto the next level, where you're in a city, and then within 10 minutes you are into luscious kind of Welsh countryside. Yeah. So that was a big use for me. So do love Cardiff, although not as much as Banbury. Okay, so something that I'm just referring to my notes actually. It's do you have a favourite? Or are they all good for different reasons? India?
India's my favourite by a mile. Yeah.
I did not wait for the answer.
You didn't need to ask that, Andy. No, I love India. I volunteered out there, had a great opportunity when I was 18. Funny enough, this is very relevant to this. I worked 3 jobs for about 6 months. One in a factory, one in a retail outlet, and 2 in retail outlets actually, very different retail outlets. Because I was desperate to do something a little bit extreme. I went over to India, volunteered in a school for 6 months, and fell in love. Yeah. And have tried going back as much as possible since. But I've taken bits from everywhere I've lived, but India by far is...
I knew the answer to that question, but I wrote it down anyway, so I thought I've answered it. I'm just going to check over whether we've... I said I wouldn't do this so much as stare down at the phone while I'm going live, but I am just going to share this onto a requested group.
Cool. I'm looking as well. It looks good from my iPad as well, that it's working.
Right, it turns out I don't know how to... No, I'm only joking. It just takes me a while. There we go. Okay, something that I'm not very good at. My wife will tell you that me cooking is not a good thing. If I do cook something for the family, then I end up needing more direction than I probably should. So I think my wife, the beautiful Fiona, will probably tell you that I'm best not cooking.
Shouldn't be in the kitchen.
Shouldn't be in the kitchen. Yeah. But this is something very, very kind of significant to Tris. We see posts of some of his food. I haven't eaten as much of it as I'd probably like. But yeah, cooking. What's your favourite? Why do you love it so much?
Good question. I've loved it since being a kid, to be honest. And then sort of as I grew up, as I went to uni and sort of started working, I found the passion. Well, the passion grew and grew. I guess why do I love it? I like the fact that when I'm cooking, I'm not thinking about anything. I know that sounds strange, and I think particularly now, actually, even more so since taking my most recent role, I think time in the kitchen when I'm preparing a meal, I'm actually switching off. It's actually like it's quite relaxing for me. And I know people that hate cooking. When I say that I find cooking relaxing,
is so the opposite to what I feel about it. It's,
but it's just I'm quite a. Some people will laugh. I am a fairly structured person in many ways, and the idea of thinking, right, I need these 15 things for this recipe. I'm preparing them all. I know where they all are. Now let me just go and create something. Is actually for me what I love, and I love this sounds really cheesy, but it is true. It's like, I do like serving food to people. I like then seeing the pleasure when hopefully they enjoy my food. It's not always that case, I have to admit. And in terms of what I like cooking, again, I'm going to get boring with this one, but I do love cooking Indian. Tonight I've got 4 different Indian dishes that I'm doing. But what I've tried doing more recently is I take a cookbook a week. It could be online, it could be one that I physically have, and I pick 3 or 4 recipes from that one book. So it's forcing me to try. Some of those will be really simple. Some will be one pot cooking where I just need 4 ingredients, put it all in a pot and leave it. Whereas the following week it might be more complex stuff, but it's just expanding my, I guess, skills.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say. How do you go from cooking so your daily spaghetti bolognese or the simple stuff that I think most people have on a regular basis to actually going and creating something? Because I've seen you do it. I've seen the pictures, the prep, and kind of some of the ingredients you throw in. Is there a creative side to it, or is it
absolutely?
Yeah.
I want it to look like I want all my food to look presentable. So I think even if you're doing a chili con carne, I love a good chili con carne, but mix it up by I crumpled nachos on top. So you get this crispiness of the crunch nachos on top of the spicy chili. Like, sounds simple, but it's given a different experience.
Though,
I remember I first served that to one of my friends in Cardiff, and he was like, "Tris, what are you doing? Like crumbling crisps on my chili." Every time he cooks a chili now.
Are you saying you did it before Jamie Oliver?
I'm not claiming that I started this, but every time now that he cooks, my friend Andrew in Cardiff, I get a photo of his chili with the nachos on top. So, but the point is, it's always creative. I think it doesn't always have to be fancy. That's the point. I
was going to say that we're going to cover it later. It's or in fact in some of the questions, but obviously research. There's a creative side to that, and maybe that links in with the kind of role that you've gone into. But we're going to go into same as we did last week, same as we're going to do every week for guests coming in. It's just 5 quick questions. See if we can get some good answers out of you, Tris.
Cool. Should I be nervous?
You might. No, they're very nice. They're very nice questions. Okay, so how did you get into the job you're in, or not? Sorry, how did you get into the industry? And what skills does the industry look for? Okay, so
I'm quite an analytical person. I like looking at things and trying to find a pattern, particularly numbers. So actually, like maths was one thing I quite enjoyed and have done since a young age. Yeah. So I think there was always I always wanted to look at something, find a pattern, and decide what that pattern meant. So
it's just so it's actually quite interesting because. Myself, I am more of a numbers person rather than a words person. So some people are massively creative with what they write. Others find maths their kind of go-to, and I've found it really interesting. In fact, my eldest, he's the same as I am, where I was asking him what he was doing at school, etc. And he was saying what he was doing, and then he got to maths, and he said, "Oh, but I really enjoy the maths part." And believe me, I don't always get much feedback from him on his school time, but to actually tell me that he enjoys maths,
it shows a lot, really.
Yeah, it does. So you'd say in your role then, maths is a key skill.
Yeah, it's not necessarily because you're good at something, it's also because you kind of enjoy it as well in a weird way. You can see that there's exactly. Yeah. So to then tie that into your question about how I got into the industry, actually my first job in the industry I'm now in was actually down the road for Thames Valley Police. Mm-hmm. So I was an analyst, a crime intelligence analyst for TVP. Spent about 18 months doing that. I still to this day say that is the most enjoyable job I have ever had. Mm. I absolutely loved it. the randomness of every day, the people I was getting to work with, being based in the police station.
Some of the people you work with might be watching this, so you probably want to see.
I've loved every job. And I'll say to anyone in any of my companies that job at TVP, that 18 months, not only did it expand my analytical side of things, but I just loved it. But what effectively happened is I was working for those guys. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, started working for Nielsen, the company I worked for in Oxford not just Oxford, but joined in Oxford for about 12 years. And that then crossed over from the analytical side I was doing with the police to the analytical side of market research.
Gotcha. When I think of market research, I do think of like brainstorming the kind of the ideas that come out, but actually it's the ideas have to be backed up by numbers. Great ideas can everybody can be riding the wave, but actually they're not producing the numbers. So
100%.
Yeah, it all comes down to that.
It's telling the story from the numbers. It's reinforcing what you think about that brand or that product with data, and then turning all of that into something the client can read and just go, oh, I get it. Hopefully.
Yeah. Right. So I should tell Stanley that's
Okay.
Okay.
Do some work experience if he wants.
I'll hold you to that. Yeah, absolutely. As long as you don't fly him over to South Africa or anything like that.
Can he make tea yet?
He can't, unfortunately. He's not getting those skills because that's one of my favourites. Okay, so you've obviously interviewed people. You've been interviewed. Is there a funniest or worst experience that's happened to you, or you've watched it unfold in front of you?
I guess one that would be top of my I was interviewing probably 4 months ago now in London. We were using the office of a company that's part of MMR. It's a kitchen basically. It's a company of ours called Cubo that do rapid prototyping of products. So they actually physically make the product in that kitchen. So we're interviewing a guy, and then it's probably about 10 minutes before the interview is due to start. My phone starts going crazy. There's HR calling me, there's a number calling me I don't know. And it turns out that this poor guy just could not find the office. And to be fair, it's in Waterloo in London, and it's hard to find. I struggled the first time I got there, and I got stressed. I wasn't coming for an interview. So I'm on the phone, I'm walking around, I'm trying to find, and all of a sudden I see this guy, it must be 2 minutes before the interview's about to start now, sprinting down the street, and I'm standing there going, I feel so bad for this guy. Now it turns out he'd been there for an hour, because he was so early, he'd gone for a coffee. So the poor guy was super prepared, was there super early, was super relaxed, and then he comes in for this interview like panting, sweating, and I'm like, right, take 10 minutes, we'll start 10 minutes late, have some water, don't worry, I get it. So I don't know if it's funny or bad, but we did employ him, so there's a positive tense in the story.
So in fact that ties in. So my interview with Mayday with Celia. She's the founder and a previous owner of Mayday, and whether it was I was obviously nervous about the interview, or maybe I was rushing, perhaps not so as much as this guy, but I was sweating a lot in the interview. So I was speaking to Celia. Celia's lovely. She's obviously working in recruitment. God knows how many interviews she's done. But it wasn't a terrible interview. It was nothing to do with how Celia was. But I was just sweating, whether that was nerves or I'd rushed to be there. And to the point where I had to ask Celia if I could use the toilet. And I was busy trying to dry myself. And I bumped into Marcus, the other founder and owner, in the corridors. And quickly said hi, but it was going through my mind. So actually, I was sweating so much that I started to get almost embarrassed, and I was going to walk away and say thank you very much. I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to go. So that was a horrific experience for this, and obviously, thankfully, I did get the job. And Celia said sometime after that, you were sweating like a pig, and Marcus said, I did bump into this then young lad that was sweating so much. So it wasn't just in my head, I was genuine.
You genuinely were.
So that was a horrific experience for me, but the good came out of it, much like the guy that got the job with you. Actually, I got the job, which is the important thing. Just did a lot of sweating to get it. Okay, so On a positive, so enough of the embarrassing experiences. Can you give an example of someone or something that's really impressed you in an interview?
Yeah, I guess it's when someone challenges something that you've done as an organisation. Now, this needs to be there's a fine balance with what I'm about to say, right? Okay. But I quite like it if someone comes in and says, I don't know, if I take the website of a company, for instance, if someone comes in and appropriately, if they're coming into a role, by the way, that might be part to do with the website, if they appropriately critique or comment on the website, but then also give some suggestions as to what they would do to make it even better. So what I mean by that is don't come into an interview and say your website's really bad, but rather come in and say, you know what, I think there are some components of your website that if you thought about this, you could maybe attract a different buyer. So that's not a specific example, but it's when it's at various interviews I've conducted when someone has kind of understood the business well enough through the homework or the preparation they've done to then demonstrate to me or the panel what they would do to make our company even better. That is a massively important point because
it's the easy part is identifying an issue. No, I suppose easier.
It's not even an issue. It's something that has room for improvement. It's probably the best way of looking at it.
But then the absolute golden nugget is to say, actually, I've got a solution, or here's an idea that may help. It's so to be thinking around it, not. And actually, you're very careful. It's a fine line because you do get people that are protective, very proud of what they do. So it's easing in something like that can be very much a judgment call, and you have to know your audience. But
it won't be applicable for every. I'm not saying in every interview there's an opportunity to do that. There won't be, but it's just demonstrating, you've done your homework and that you're offering something that you would do or you could do to really drive this company forward.
That goes back to something we mentioned last week, and it's something that's really important for job interviews. And we always tell people to think of some questions because you should, obviously, it goes without saying, research into the position, the company, the industry that you're applying to go into. And from that research, then you'll draw the question. So it's so important to try and come preloaded with a few questions. Obviously, some might crop up in the interview. You might be prompted to say a few bits, but if you have something in your mind to ask, because obviously that's something Tristan pointed out, that he's always impressed, and many people will be, by somebody that has got a really good question to ask. Okay, so from being really impressed, so let's go with what is your biggest put off? Hopefully you're not going to say sweating a lot. What's your biggest put off that someone does or says during an interview?
Yeah, I guess let's put aside things like be on time, unless there's obviously a very valid reason there.
Unless you're in the middle of Waterloo and it's difficult to find.
Which I did, that was fine. It ties in probably, to be honest, to the answer to the question just before, which is a lack of preparation. So just someone who comes in and you can tell pretty early on in that interview that they don't really know much about the company, or they haven't really understood the role. So for me, that would be I don't know, if I get that feel 2 or 3 minutes into an interview, I've made my decision. And it doesn't, I'm not saying tell me everything about the company. We don't expect that, but it's just a base level of prep before the interview. That would be my biggest put off.
So something going into that is you've, and similar to writing a CV or reading a CV quickly, actually the early parts of anything, whether it be reading the CV or the interview, are crucial. So we're not saying it's won and lost in the first few minutes, but there's an optimism gauge, and by not preparing well, then the interviewer their optimism drops right down, and then you leave yourself with the rest of the interview having to build up the confidence. Yeah.
And people still do that, because I understand people often are very nervous,
Yeah.
but it will come across, right? The preparation thing will come across later on, even if you miss it up front. But it does put you on the back foot, I think.
Yeah, prep is everything. Well, not everything.
But it's a big part.
It's a big part, yeah. Okie dokie, right. So this links into we've gone very much from the interviewer perspective. So actually, again, mentioned last week, let's flip it. An interview is a two-way thing. So if you're a talent in the industry and you're going for an interview somewhere, you should be confident that they should be just as keen to get you on board as you are to work for them. So if I was a top talent in your industry, why would I choose to work for you?
God, that's a tough one. Why would you? So, and do you mean at a company level or an individual level, or both?
Both. I think that there is an argument to say that that people don't just work for the business or the company, the brand. They work for the individuals that they report into. So a great boss will retain people, and you can work for fantastic companies and have terrible bosses, or it could be said that fantastic companies have good bosses. Anyway, the point being, so on both levels, either.
Okay, so quickly, if I take at a company level at MMR, we're doing well at the moment, we're investing in technology, we're invested in marketing, and we're growing, and I believe we're finding a really nice balance in terms of where we fit within the broader market research world. So ultimately, at an organisational level, I think we've been very successful now for 31 years the company has been around for, and we're just continuing to grow. So
that's
for me,
there's as long as we've known each other.
Yeah, right. It's not far
longer, yeah.
Yeah, right. That is scary. On an individual level, and I don't want this to come across at all big-headed or anything like that. I think I've always throughout my career wanted to see people grow, and that doesn't always mean they need to grow within my organisation. I know that sounds like a really bad thing to say, but if I see someone within my team develop, and they come to me and they sort of say they want to continue that development, but they feel they could do it within another organisation, I'll support that if I think it's the right thing for them. Yeah. I'll also tell them if I think, hey, no, you're going to a company or you're moving to an industry where I don't think you'll grow. Yeah. But I guess to answer it, I think I'll value the individual and the growth of that individual more than just the impact they're having on my business. I want them to have an impact on my business too, of course, but I'll also support their general career growth.
But that's the byproduct. So them having a positive impact on your business is a byproduct of how they feel you value them. And in fact, we've had conversations about this before, because when you mention about actually advising them to possibly do something that isn't in your immediate benefit, sounds a bit crazy to do, but exactly that. The justification for it is that that you should really believe that the person you're working with have got your best interests at heart. So that's important. This is the okay. So these are 5. There we go. 5 well-answered questions. You're through the other side. It is a jobs market, so I'm going to go through a few jobs quickly. Just to say, all I did yesterday. Well, not all I did yesterday. I was very busy yesterday. But to just get these jobs that I've got here, I just jumped onto Reed. Reed's a good job board, but there are obviously there are some big job boards out there. Indeed, Total Jobs, CV Library. But I jumped on Reed just to see jobs that had been posted in and around Banbury in the last couple of days. So these jobs have been posted on Reed in the last couple of days. I thought I'd get a bit of a variation going, so not targeting. Obviously, if you're after industrial work, there's only really one place to come, and that's Mayday. I'm only joking, everybody else. Champion as well, obviously. Okay, so first one, graphic designer. This is at DCS in Banbury. Great company, growing business year on year. This is they're looking for a part-time, 3 days a week junior graphic designer. So it's a great role for somebody that's got a little bit of experience, but looking to really go into a large business that will help you grow. Part-time, obviously, if your hours are restricted for any reason, then and you are looking for part-time, this is the role. So with these, if you pop onto the DCS website and you can apply through there, DCS have got a great HR team that are very responsive and always keen. So this role, it's 23k pro rata, but obviously it's part time. Another quick one from DCS. I'm not just going to keep going on about DCS, although they are great. They're looking also for a senior software developer. It does have competitive salary on here, but I can imagine this is looking down the job spec. This is about 45k role, so that's senior software developer. So I'm going to start going a little bit quicker here. So finance, agency, Michael Page are recruiting, and I didn't work out who this was for, but it's for senior finance business partner for a global manufacturing company that's based just outside Banbury. Again, jump on Read, you can get the full job description, but I'm just going to fly through it. This is between 50 and 60k. That's with Michael Page Finance. Here we go. This is one from Extra Personnel. So we know Extra Personnel very well. They also do industrial work. They supply into Magna, which I believe this one's for. They're looking for a transport administrator, £9.50 an hour. That is to work on rotating shifts, 6 till 2, 2 till 10. If you've got warehouse experience, particularly transport, logistics, and you're looking to go more from the warehouse side of things into office space, this is probably a good transitional role for you to take on. So transport administrator with Extra Personnel. Here we go. I found a retail job. I found something in retail. So this is with the Works store, which is in the town centre. They're looking for a store manager, over 20,500, and they're looking for somebody to lead their small retail team. Estate agency, we've got a lettings negotiator. This is estate agency is a little bit similar to recruitment. You have obviously the company and people. Anyway, a little bit the same. So if you're interested in going into estate agency, we've got Chancellor's Group are looking for a lettings negotiator. This will be a very salesy role, so it's commission linked. You will be. It's 16 to 35k, and that will be dependent on hitting targets, etc. Facilities manager with an electrical bias. This is with Meridian, which is supplying to HelloFresh. This is 28 to 30k electrical bias. So one of the main stipulations is you need to be electrically qualified to City and Guilds level with 17th, 18th edition. If you don't know what 17th and 18th edition, this probably isn't your job. This is to work in Banbury, but they also have a site in Nuneaton, which most of your time will be spent in Banbury, but you will be expected to go to Nuneaton, all travel expenses paid. Something a little bit different here, trainee fitness instructor.
Could do with that.
I thought I'd throw it in there. It's potential earnings between 30 and 50k. Bit of a broad bracket there. I suppose it's how good you are. But if you are into fitness, if you are looking to get into the fitness instructor world, this is a setup. It's from New Skills Fitness Academy. So they will give you the assistance, train you up to really achieve your goals. And saying about other agencies, sorry Tris, I'll stop waffling on in a moment. So.
It's fine. I've been checking tech, by the way, it's still working. I thought we're 45 minutes in, I should probably make sure that we're still live, but it's all good.
So I've obviously been speaking to the other agencies. We're really keen to get everybody involved. So Champion have sent me through a few bits. They are posting in the group. And so Champion, a little bit of a story about Champion is, I think this is the late 90s, it might be the early 2000s, but Mayday actually had an office fire. Not in the building we're in now, but there was started from a toaster in the break room, and to this day we still don't have a toaster for that reason. It's but when the fire took place, then Tracy, the founder of Champion, actually called Celia and obviously heard what happened and offered office space. So Tracy called Celia, obviously competitors in the industry, but saw what would happen, called her and said, if you need a bit of office space to keep yourself up and running. So that story has kind of has stayed with me. And in fact, we do compete against each other. We're always trying to supply into each other's clients, etc. But actually, in times of need, much like this year in general, then it's a time to pull together.
An underlying respect almost, right?
Yeah, there is definitely. So Champion, very busy at the moment. They are down by the town hall. I'm pointing this way, they are across from the town hall, a lovely building. They've got a few bits on. I'm just going to go through the industrial stuff. So it's Fine Lady that are their client that's the busiest at the moment. Lots of different shifts. So they've got it's production work. It's a bakery. It's an iconic brand within the town. Very busy at the moment and all sorts. So if they're going through a lot of, I'm not going to go through it all because some of it is very similar to the stuff we're offering. So I'm just going to tell you to give one of the Champion team a call and they will go through the jobs they've got on. But they are very busy at the moment. If you are looking for some industrial work, some extra Christmas money, then obviously give Mayday a call. But Champion are there as well. So shout out to Champion.
Just two things to build on your Banbury point earlier. Like, look at the type, so the jobs that you described, there was a finance one, there was a tech one, there was a facilities one, there was a lettings one, there was a retail one. It really does reinforce, all of which are based pretty much directly in Banbury or very close to it. It does really land the point you made earlier about we have a lot going on here and there is a lot of opportunity, which is great to see.
Well, the unemployment rate. Obviously it's increased slightly at the moment, but generally if exclude 2020, but the unemployment rate within Banbury pre-COVID was 0.8, wow. Which is crazy. The national average London, the southeast is probably regionally the lowest, 2.5 or something like that, but nationally it's much higher. Might be 1.5.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
In recruitment, I should know that thing. I'm asking somebody in research what unemployment levels are, and I'm in recruitment. Doesn't bode well for me.
What matters for you is Banbury, right? Banbury and the surrounding area, and you've just told me what the number is. So yeah, you know the numbers that matter.
I could have made that up, Okay. So, what's the current position in your market as a research? Are people still investing as much as ever, or have they taken a step back?
Yeah, I guess there's yes, they are. So we just had our 2 biggest months ever, but we're not getting carried away with that. I think that what we saw was everyone panicked at the start of lockdown, and companies none of us knew what was going to happen, right? Across every industry. Yeah. So a lot of our clients just sort of went, whoa, what is going to happen? We're going to stop. So they stopped.
Like the world did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So and it took a bit of time to get back again. And now we're seeing massive growth. However, there is going to be an element of people playing catch up because they're a little bit behind on their innovation or product development schedules. So I think we've seen a spike, and our hope is, of course, that we remain kind of close to that level, but we're not expecting that spike to grow massively. So we want to see how the new year plays out. We do have to consider Brexit.
Yeah.
Europe and the UK is a big part of our business. The US and Asia are as well. We have offices in both those regions, as well as South Africa and Brazil. Yeah. But Europe is important to us. So we want to see how Brexit plays out. But we're confident. We're recruiting. I think we've probably got about 25 open positions at the moment, and we've recruited something crazy like 60 people over the past 3 months, which is more than we recruited in the whole of the previous 12 months last year. So our HR team are doing a wonderful job. They've been so busy, as have most of the company, to be fair. It's crazy numbers.
Yeah. So a couple of months has actually represented more than you recruited in the last in 2019.
Exactly. Yeah, in the previous year.
It's crazy. So that's got to fill the company with optimism. Actually, it's great to hear good news stories. That's what we all want to hear. We just want to hear more good news than all the. And
I think similar to what I respect about what you just did is talking about a lot of your competitors, and we try and do the same. It's like we're trying to bring clients on the journey with us, and we shouldn't be working in silos. We should be learning from and working with, when appropriate, some of our competition, and trying to move the industry forward.
Yeah. No, I really agree. And absolutely, I can't on one hand say that we're all about community, and then on the other hand exclude big parts of the community. So it is important, and we can learn off each other. I mean, you see, on previous conversation with you, you might notice something that they're doing, or they've posted on social media or anything like that, and actually, even as a competitor, you can appreciate them. So it's actually fantastic. So you've had 2 record-breaking months, recruited as much as you did in the whole of 2019 in just a few months. I'm sure HR are looking forward to Christmas and a bit of a break.
I think most people are, because with busy months come a lot of work for our researchers as well. So they're slogging it at the moment.
Okay, this goes back because actually, no interest. I knew you were heavily recruiting, and like any recruiter would, I gave him a call and I said, "Tris, I work in recruitment. Can we help you out?" The answer was no. No, only joking. It was. But
with a valid reason.
He did take the time to explain to me the reasons, but so as an industry. So there's we've covered the skills that you'd be looking for. So there's an analytical side, and it's a massive business. So there are loads of components to the business that need all kinds of different skills. So are there different areas of the business that you're finding it harder to recruit for, and is there certain reasons? So sorry to throw a tricky question in.
No, it's good. So I guess there's many challenges. I'll give you 2 examples. One would be market research is complex. It is not an easy thing to talk about. It's not an easy thing to sell. It's not an easy thing to actually be the researcher on. It requires quite a lot of expertise. Yeah. So I guess where the whole industry, this isn't necessarily an MMR thing, I think it's industry as a whole, is I think there's a shortage of those kind of good mid-level people. So what I mean are people that are not coming as trainees, but they've maybe got 5, 6, 7 years market research experience. They've led accounts. They understand clients. I think there's naturally a gap in that mid-level.
Yeah.
And then I think the other gap is, as a company that is heavily investing in technology, that there's a shortage in this country of developers. Or at least there's a shortage if you don't want to pay an incredible amount.
Schools and colleges,
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So they're just 2. We've got many in terms of areas, but
so as an industry, how I would see that is if you've got somebody the size of Pepsi with their budgets, with the talent that they have within their business, they still need your, not unique, but your knowledge, your experience. So what you're saying about how hard, or some of the challenges about building a lot. How am I going to word this? So recruiting, generally bringing people in, you're looking for some specific skills, some specific traits that actually Pepsi don't have within their business, and that's why they come to you. So
yeah, and the dedicated focus on a particular topic as well, right? Because as with any company, you will, if there's someone already doing something that you could pay for, that is easier to do than you trying to do it yourself, if that's not your area of specialism. I guess that's how I look at it.
I'm going to link that perfectly to recruitment. If you haven't got time, no, I'm not ready. Okay, I've got to say actually, we've been waffling for. We're close to an hour, so I hope some of you are still with us, etc. But I've got a few more bits. Can we go through them?
Of course, mate. Yeah.
Okay, so Tris travels a lot for work. So although he...
Well, I did until March.
Until March. Okay. So living in Banbury now, working in Oxfordshire, but that's not the... you're not always in the Oxfordshire headquarters. You're all over the place. I get to go to places like Daventry and Brackley, and then I give Tris a call and where are you? And he's in South Africa or Brazil or the States. All very cool. Is it as glamorous? Because somebody that doesn't travel a lot for business. Then they look at those that do, and it does have the wow factor.
Ultimately I think it's either for you or it isn't. So putting environmental concerns to the side around the impact of flying and on the environment, I absolutely love flying and I love travelling and I always have done. So for me, if I talk about the good bits of it, do I love getting to an airport, going into an airport lounge, having a drink, getting on a flight, doing a bit of work, watching a few movies, getting off in a random country, staying in a nice hotel? Yeah, of course I love it.
Yeah.
But joking aside, it wouldn't be uncommon for me to go on a 7 or 8 hour flight. Businesses now often, by the way, don't pay business or first class travel, right? It's most companies, unless you're working
tough
for
life. I can't believe.
But imagine you've been on a 7 hour flight to New York, you haven't slept, you've been working the day before, and you land and you're all over the place because it's now midnight and it's whatever, and you've got a 7 a.m. meeting the following morning.
All jokes aside, the reason behind travelling in style or flying with in business or first class is actually you need to be on your game when you arrive. So actually, the money saved by a business going. Do they call it cattle class still? Is that the wrong term? Sorry. Actually, then that's going to affect the performance at the other end.
100%.
So flying all over the place, tiring.
Yeah, but I honestly think I get, again, it's either for you or it isn't. I think I get more energy from being in a different country with different people and seeking different opportunities. Yeah. For me, that offsets the fact that I might be absolutely shattered.
Oh, massive. I'm super jealous, by the way. I was trying to throw in a few negatives to see, but no, I'm. It sounds.
But it is common to not see anything, right? It's not like if I'm going somewhere really unusual that I haven't been to, I'll try and factor in an extra day where I can actually go and do something. But it's quite common to not get any downtime. You literally go from hotel to office to different office to hotel, and you just repeat for 3 days. So
you're sure there's no kind of swimming pools on rooftops in the sunshine? And
you've seen some pictures that I've posted on Instagram over the last few years, mate. So I'm not going to say there aren't a few perks.
I thought I'd just throw that in there. Okay, so places you've visited. You could go through some. How many places? I'm just being nosy now. I genuinely don't know just how many.
Country-wise, probably over 50 now. Of which probably about half, if not about 20, is probably on work-based trips. Albeit I tend to go to the same countries a lot as opposed to lots of different countries, if that makes sense.
Could I mention about so one of South Africa? So you've obviously been over there several times. Scary place?
That's a good question.
Because I've other friends that have actually born or lived in South Africa and have come away because it's in some places quite dangerous.
So yeah, I love South Africa. I'm very lucky to go a couple of times with Nielsen in 2 roles ago, and then again a few times with MMR. It's a beautiful country, and the people are some of the nicest people I've ever met. Scenery is amazing, the wine is amazing, the food is amazing, everything about. Honestly, I love it. Right?
You won me over. That was it.
Do you have to be a bit more careful than in other countries? Absolutely. So I guess for me, I'd probably, if it was about moving there permanently, I'd probably have to really think it through.
Yeah.
But as somewhere to visit, I would encourage anyone to go if the opportunity arises. Just be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just quickly, is there anywhere that you haven't been that's on the list to go to?
I would like to explore more of Africa, and I'd like to do more of South America.
Yeah. Okay. Gives you quite a broad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not
to do.
Yeah, I'm not fussy.
Yeah. Okay, so lots of travelling. Now, knowing you and how you involved you are, and how you throw yourselves into things, you drive. Meet up occasionally for not in recent times, but occasionally after work for a wind down and just kind of chat about how kind of what's going on in the work. And see, we know, and our group of friends know that you can have some pretty intense days where you've literally taken everything, and it's that's it. You kind of battery's flat by the end of the day.
Yeah.
We've spoken about kind of escape with cooking. We've seen your Peloton challenges.
Yeah.
So there are all sorts you do. So you pay the price to the position you've got. You've worked your way up, and you deserve the kind of level you've reached. Board member now. That's awesome, and that's a massive achievement. So
thank you.
it's. Age-wise, now you don't know quite. Obviously, I'm still quite young. You can see that, and we were in the same school year. Are you a young board member? Is it, or am I getting old as well and just?
Yeah, I think there's been a shift. I think in many industries the days of like the board just being 55-year-old white males, rightly so, has shifted.
Yeah.
In some industries, not as much as others. So I think with the emergence of all these amazing tech-led organisations, I think the ability for younger people, for females, for ethnic minorities to have representation at that top level is getting it. Now there is still a long way to go. So I think it probably on a personal, for me, probably I'm still quite young for that, which I'm very proud of and really appreciative of the company for recognising that. But I think the tides are changing.
It was just, so to get onto the board is kind of rubber stamping the progress, the impact that you've had in all the businesses you've worked for and you drive. So I'm trying to think of a way to word it. It's the price you've paid to kind of keep driving forward is a kind of I'm not saying it's a stressful life, but there's a lot on your shoulders each day. A lot of people depend on you. How do you unwind in the UK? No, this is it. It was just to cover. Obviously, you.
How do you balance? Almost. It's tough, mate. You'll have weeks where you're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, why have I done this to myself? And I'm sure a lot of people go through that for different reasons. So it's not saying that only happens if you're senior in a company, but there'll be some weeks, if not months, when you don't focus enough on winding down, when you're snappy with friends, with family, when you stop the exercise because you don't even have time for that. So it's about trying to balance that out. But ultimately, it's about talking to people. It's about having a switch off moment, and I think that's been difficult during lockdown when we haven't been able to do our Friday.
No.
We're in a great spot where we've got friends across Banbury who have all been very successful in different ways,
Yeah.
and actually having that ability to say, Andy, you know what? I've had a killer week. Just let me tell you why, and just give me some advice, or tell me I'm being stupid, or
I normally just tell him he's being stupid.
Right.
We've missed our Friday drinks, and
shouts out to the Coach and Horses, by the way, which is typically the venue.
Coach and Horses, great venue, great people.
Great people. In fact, on that note, actually, I don't want this to be an advert, but I do think like one it's going to.
But it's going to be.
Yeah. We talk about Banbury, right? But we need to support the town as well.
Yeah.
And I think on a broader level, I love seeing the pop up. It's not a pop up, is it? But Lock 29.
Yeah.
In Castle Key, I think how amazing is it that people are taking initiative to try and do something to kind of give the town something that ultimately would be a large empty BHS store. So that's one point, but we need to support that. And,
Go on,
and then secondly, like some of the, like for me, and this isn't no disrespect to any restaurants I don't mention, but if I look at places like Siam House and Sushi on Parsons Street, if I look at Vujon, if I look at Coach and Horses, if I look at the castle at Edge Hill, like the reason that I go to those places, of course it's because of either the great food or the drink or whatever. It's also because the people are really nice. Yeah. If I bump into anyone from those establishments, because I go there reasonably often in the street, they'll stop, they'll say hello, they'll be genuinely interested. Yeah. And for me, I'm quite proud of the fact that Banbury now has some really cool and nice, and I don't mean cool in a super funky way, but
going to Lock 29, I was actually going to use the same description. I walked in, I thought, this is very cool. It's in fact, we're going to go there. We're going to go. Well, not me and you. You're happy to come along.
I've got to crack on with work. I'm a busy person.
Jamming pizzas. Going to try their Canadian.
Wow.
But there's loads of really good stuff in there. Cool bakery. I was going to shout out to there's a Mr. Souvlaki in there, but the best place to eat Greek is Cosmos, obviously on the marketplace. Big shout out to Jonas and the boys. Okay, we have overrun, and you did say you are a busy person. I was quickly going to mention the Breakout Rooms in Banburyshire Job Market. So a breakout room is where you can, within the group, request to speak to a consultant. So a quick video call, and go through if you've seen something on the site that you want to chat about. You can just click request a meeting, which will be a video, much the same. You can on your phone or however. And you can speak to one of the consultants and go through whether you'll be suitable for the role and whether the role is suitable for you.
And that's about specific roles, is it? As opposed to, it's not okay.
So it's real time. If you spot something and you want to speak to somebody about it immediately, just click in the breakout rooms. You can go and speak to one of the consultants. They won't be manned 24 hours, but there will be large portions of the day that they are. We just think it's a really value-adding service for the group. Okay, so that did take sorry, we were supposed to have it wrapped up in an hour. We've nearly got there. Thanks very much for coming along. I know you're busy. So Tris, Banbury born, works for a global business that they've got their headquarters in Oxfordshire. In fact, just quickly actually, just to round it off, you were moving back to Banbury anyway, is that right?
Yeah. So we'd made the decision to move to Banbury even when I was still working in London.
Yeah.
So, and I was just going to commute every day. Like ultimately, well, you mentioned it earlier, I think, but the commute into central London is 55 minutes, and the house is a 10-minute walk to the train station. So I'd already decided to come back to Banbury for multiple reasons. Cost of houses, friends, and everything else, and that connection. And then I just so happened this amazing job came up, and happened to then be working back in Oxfordshire as well, which was great.
So there we go. Doesn't matter. So who needs Geneva, London, Cardiff when you've got Banbury? There we go. Right. Thank you very much, and tune in again next week.
Thanks everyone.
Cheers, Tris.